I'm going to share a couple things today that I've never shared before. I want to talk about this idea of having a vision for a brighter future beyond the current situation. When we struggle with substance abuse, when we struggle with challenges in life, it can seem so overwhelming that we don't even know if recovery is possible. I've talked to people before who literally said, I don't believe that peace is possible. I don't believe that recovery is possible for me. I know that I'm going to go back to this again and again and again. And many have struggled with the idea of even of suicide to get rid of, just to get rid of the pain. It is important to have a vision for a brighter future beyond our current situation. Remember years ago, I was pastoring a church, and a kid in that church had a bad substance abuse problem. Now, at the time, I had never been a full-time substance abuse counselor, but I had already gotten a certificate of addiction recovery. That was something that I was interested in. So this family took this young kid who was struggling with substance abuse to come see me, and they were thinking about having him go to counseling, either to me or to another guy in the church that was a life coach. Well, they eventually went with the life coach, and I haven't shared this with anybody, but I actually was a little bit in my feelings about that. Like, how could you go to a life coach when I'm an addiction counselor, or at least I've gotten some training as an addiction counselor? Well, it's kind of interesting how it played out, because what happened is this life coach began talking to the guy about having a vision for a brighter future beyond his current situation. Now, had I started out, I would have hit him with how addiction works on the brain. Let's talk about dopamine. Let's talk about the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, and all of these scientific things. But in retrospect, I realized there was such wisdom in what this life coach was doing. Because what he wanted him to do, before you got into anything about addiction and recovery, how addiction works on the brain, man, let's help this kid have hope that possibly tomorrow could be a little better. There's time for all that addiction counseling. There's time for all that intellectual stuff and some of that stuff that some of us find really fascinating. Before we can go there, we need to realize that maybe I can recover. Maybe there is a better day coming. There's a spiritual principle that says, without a vision, the people perish. That's in the Bible, a proverb. Where there is no vision, the people perish. The idea is that when we don't have a vision, direction in life, or a hope for a brighter future beyond our current pain, we stay stuck in this cycle of hopelessness. But having a vision, even if it's far off, even if we feel like it's going to be some time before I get there, that gives us a little bit of hope to hold on. And here's another thing that I haven't shared before that I'm going to share with you. Some years ago, I was in a really dark space in my life. Challenges at work, challenges in my marriage, challenges and things going on with my family. I got to a dark place where I was thinking about committing suicide. I remember sitting in Walmart's parking lot with a 38 special in my hand and thinking about killing myself. And one thing that I remember thinking was, if I kill myself, it's over. But I remember telling myself, what if there's a small possibility that things could get better? And I know it sounds sick, and I know it sounds twisted, and I'm not saying this is right, but this is what I thought. I thought, as bad as it is, I can always kill myself tomorrow. What if there is hope? What if there's a small chance that things could get better on the horizon? And just having that little bit of hope let me hold on. And in that desperate moment, obviously, I didn't hurt myself. Chuck Colson, founder of Angel Tree Ministry, went to prison, of course, for the Watergate instance. Chuck Colson has a famous quote. He said, "Where is your hope? Where is your hope? I meet millions who say they feel demoralized by the world around them. Where is your hope? The hope that each of us has is not in who governs us or what great laws we pass as a nation. Our hope is in the power of God working in the lives of those around us. That's where our hope is in this country, and that's where our hope is in life. Now, Chuck Colson found hope in prison by the power of God, working through himself, working through other people, through God as he understands him. That's where Chuck Colson found hope in the most desperate situation. And now, until he died, he helped others find hope for a brighter future beyond the current pain. And my concern for you today, my hope for you today, my challenge for you today is to begin thinking about, is there hope for a brighter future beyond my current situation? I want to encourage you to begin thinking about what is your hope. Because right now things are probably pretty challenging if you're in the midst of addiction. Life seems pretty messed up. And yes, there's be time for us to talk about how addiction works on the brain and triggers and all of those things. But as we begin thinking about this idea of addiction and recovering, what might recovery look like for me? That's what I want you to encourage you to think about. What might recovery, what might that brighter future beyond the current situation look like for you? So let me just give you a couple of things to get you on your way. Creating a vision for a brighter future beyond your current situation, you need to focus on 3 categories. Those categories are love, joy, and peace. In the introduction, we talked about that. What are all of the, there are 3 main areas of need in our lives. Those needs are love, joy, and peace. And when you create a vision, we need to think about it in those ways. And so, love. What is my vision for a brighter future beyond my current situation when it has to do with love, and me being loved, and me loving others? So, my self-respect. What are some areas I need to work on in order to love myself, in order to respect myself? What are my desires for a brighter future beyond the current situation? Maybe for you it's healing a relationship with your dad, healing a relationship with your mom or your aunt or your uncle, healing a relationship with your children or with your parents, like I said. Maybe it's connecting with God as you understand him. How about joy? I remember in a group years ago, I had a circle of guys, and I was talking to them about this, and I asked them, what is your vision for a brighter future beyond your current situation when it comes to joy? And one guy raised his hand and he said, you know what? He said, down the line, I would like to have a bass boat. And I like that. I think that's a worthy goal. You know, maybe as long as the bass boat isn't coming before putting food on your kid's table, nothing wrong with the desire of having a bass boat. And having big goals like that, maybe it's not today or even this year or next year, but years down the line, I'm going to get a bass boat or a nice motorcycle or whatever it might be for you. Having that vision for a brighter future gives you something to work for. Where you're at right now is not the totality of your life. These challenges you're struggling with, substance abuse, seem so overwhelming. It's like you're locked in that prison. But having a vision for a brighter future in those areas, love, joy, and peace. And if you get the book, you'll be able to go through chapter 2, and it will just take you line by line and help you work out this vision. But another thing I want to leave you with is, as you're working through your vision, figure out what you truly value. What do you value? I value my kids. Okay, well, what's your vision for a brighter future in that? I value my alone time. Okay, what's your vision for a brighter future with your alone time? And then finally, I want you to think about what activities give you the most pleasure. What activities give you the most sense of purpose? What activities do you do will give you the most sense of importance? And think about that and incorporate that into your vision. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope for a brighter future beyond your current circumstance. And I encourage you, don't give up. Keep fighting another day. Begin to write out that vision, and it will give you hope for a brighter future. And that's where your recovery begins. Just having this idea that, yes, I can get through this. Yes, it might be a lot of work, but there is hope for a brighter future beyond what I'm dealing with now. I hope that's helpful for you. God bless.